computer. Hadi bakalım. As I said, today we are going to talk about since and for, and I'm gonna basically talk about very briefly about it. Oops. And on Tuesday we had a workshop about the sounds. I kept the presentation slides just to show you one thing. So basically, most of you are like an A2 level students, most of you. So you should already know that Turkish is a language of harmony. So you should basically know about the vowel harmony, right? Like we have this vowel harmony, the A-type vowel harmony, and in this one I have two options. It can be A or E. When I have A, U, O, U, I have A as a suffix. When I have E, I, Ö, U, I have E in my suffix. But then I have the I-type vowel harmony. And in this one, it's basically a combination of these two categorization. And I have four options in this one. It can be I, I, U, Ü. As an A2 level student or an A1.2 level student, you should already know about these. Yeah, this is basically the vowel harmony chart that that we can learn about. This is the A-type one, and this is the I-type one. And today we are going to talk about both of them. That's why I'm showing it to you, just to give you a kind of a schemata so that you can remember the rule. But then there is also one more basic rule that we are going to talk about, and that is the consonant assimilation. So we also talked about the 21 consonants in Turkish, and there are some consonants that are sharp, like fe, se, te, ke, che, she, he, pe. These are like an explosive consonant. They are like a sharp consonant. So that's why when I have a suffix that starts with a de, with a D, I changed my D to T. A quick example would be, so usually I use this as a locative case. Like if I want to say in, on, or at, I put this suffix. If I want to say on the table, it becomes, whoops, masada, right? If you want to say in Antalya, it's going to be Antalya'da. But when you have a word that ends with one of these consonants, mesela sınıf, then it's going to be sınıf.
Sınıfta.
Sınıfta. Exactly. That's the idea. Tamam mı?
Tamam.
And I show this, as I said, I show this consonant assimilation with a capitalized D. So whenever you see a capitalized D, you have to think about this rule. Whenever you see a capitalized A and a capitalized I, then you have to think about these two rules as well. So the first one, I have this dir that I put right after a time expression to make it literally for in English. And as you can see, I have two options for the D, right? It can be either D or it can be T according to the last consonant. And I also have the second, the I-type vowel harmony, which basically gives me 4 options. So in total, I have 8 options for this one. I can say dir, I can say dir, I can say dur, I can say dur, and I have tir, tir, tur, tur. And it all depends on the word that we have previously. And as I said, it basically means for, and we literally use it for a period of time. So if you want to make a sentence that you want to say, like, I have been learning Turkish for 2 months, then this is the suffix that you have to use. Let me make it blue to make it more visible. 2 aydır Türkçe öğreniyorum. For only period of time you can use this dır, dir, dur, dur. If you want to say, I have been living in Turkey for 5 years, then it's going to be 5 yıl. 5 yıldır Türkiye'de yaşıyorum. That's the idea. Veya we can also say I have been sleeping for 3 hours. Let's not say sleep. I have been ne olabilir? Working, let's say. I have been working for 5 hours. Then it's going to be, let's say 6 hours. 6 saat. 6 saattir çalışıyorum. Some of you might ask, if I have a over here, why do I have e as the suffix? It doesn't obey the vowel harmony. Saat is one of the exception words that we have. I mean, even though there is a at the end, we don't obey the vowel harmony and we continue with e. And if I want to say I have what can we say? I don't know. Give me a sentence. I'm really having a writer's block right now.
We have been married for 10 years.
Süper, süper, süper. Let's say that. For 10 years, hadi.
Yıldır.
Yıldır.
10 yıldır. Or we can also say 10 senedir evliyiz.
Evliyiz.
Harika. That's the idea. You can either say yıl or you can use sene. Both of them works because they are exactly the same. Tamam mı? And if I have a starting point, I can never ever put this dur. So it doesn't work like a since. If I have, March, which is a starting point, it's not a period of time, it's a starting point of an action, I cannot use it. I cannot say Mart'tır Türkçe öğreniyorum. Doesn't make any single sense. Tamam mı? So you should definitely don't forget that. Çünkü for done beri, you can actually use it with both of the, you can either use it with the period of time, and you can also use it in the starting time of the action. But we usually use it in the starting time of the action. When we have a starting time of the action, we use this done beri. And in this one, I have 4 options because this can have 2 options, de or te, and this can also have 2 options, a or e. So I have done beri, den beri, tan beri, ve ten beri. So if I want to say I have been learning Turkish since March, then it's going to be a starting point because you started at March. Then you can basically say Mart'tan beri Türkçe öğreniyorum. The first one was a 2 months of period. But this one is a starting point. You started at March and it had been 2 months you have been learning. Tamam? But this done beri can also come to an end of a period of time. So you can still say 2 aydan beri Türkçe öğreniyorum. Even though it's not really common, we can still use it. It's grammatically correct. Tamam mı? So we have written some examples. We said 10 yıldır evliyiz. So we are in 2011, 2020, 2021. How do you think we can write this sentence with dan beri or den beri? When did I get married if I'm married for 10 years? Come on, it's a question. I don't want to answer it.
From 2011.
2011. O zaman let's say that. 2011
11'den
Birden beri
Evliyiz.
evliyiz. And it's also possible to say 10 yıldan beri evliyiz. So with dan beri, you have options. So if you see this in an exam, just for a kind of a, tip for you, you can always write dan beri and it's going to be correct. If the teacher asks you the difference of dan beri and dur. Tamam? But in spoken language, we usually use dir for a starting point. Yeah, that's it. I also have some questions that I can ask with this dan beri and durdur. So you can basically use the question word ne zaman, and you can add both of the suffixes at the end of it, and then you can make a question. Ne zamandan beri Türkiye'de yaşıyorsun? Ne zamandır Türkiye'de yaşıyorsun? Ne zamandan beri Türkçe öğreniyorsun? Ne zamandır Türkiye'de yaşıyorsun? Gibi. Rohan, I'm asking you this one because you are an inspiration to everyone because you have been learning Turkish for a little time and you are really good at it. Rohan, ne zamandan beri Türkçe öğreniyorsun?
Ben 2 aydan beri
Hı hı.
Türkçe öğreniyorum.
Harikasın. That's the idea. Yani 2 aydan beri, when did you start? Also give me that sentence. Which month yani?
Which month?
Hı hı. When did you start learning?
Yeah.
Şubat.
Hı hı.
March. What is March?
Şubat'tan.
Let's say Şubat, because we gave an example to March. Let's say Şubat. So let's make it 3. Şubat.
Şubat'tan beri
Tamam.
Hı hı. I don't have to. Şubat'tan beri
Türkçe öğreniyorum.
öğreniyorum.
Ha.
And you can also make another sentence talking about the period, but this time you don't have to use dan beri. You can also use dur. It would be 3
Aydır
Hı hı.
Türkçe öğreniyorum.
Türkçe öğreniyorum. That's the idea. So ne zamandan beri, ne zamandır is exactly the same. Tamam. And then we have some questions that we can ask with kaç, and we always use it with kaç seneden beri is also possible, but it's not really used. You can also ask these questions with dan beri, to be honest, but they are not really common. So we usually ask kaç senedir, kaç aydır, kaç gündür, kaç saattir, kaç yıldır. So Hayla, if I ask you kaç senedir Türkiye'desin, what would you say? I don't know if it had been a year though. Or let's say kaç aydır, daha güzel.
I feel less than.
Then you can say bir yıldan az zamandır.
Tamam. Bir yıldan az zamandır.
What?
Türkiye'de yaşıyorum.
Türkiye'de yaşıyorum. Güzel. Oops. Pekala. Yani kaç aydır Türkiye'desin?
Aa, 9, 10 aydır falan.
Çok güzel. 9-10 aydır Türkiye'de yaşıyorum. That's the idea. Tamam. You could also say yaklaşık 9 aydır. Which is like around.
Yaklaşık. Okay.
Yaklaşık 9 aydır.
This falan filan also mean around.
Yani evet, falan filan, you can also use it in that kind of context. 9-10 aydır falan Türkiye'de yaşıyorum. That's also possible. That's the idea. Tamam mıyız?
Tamam.
Valla, other than that, let me see. Yeah, to be honest, we are basically done, but I'm gonna give you a kind of a quiz. I mean, it's not a quiz, but I'll expect you to send me your answers on Zoom chat privately, lütfen. So let me share the screen now. So I have 10 questions over here. And when you can start writing your own answers and send it to me privately on Zoom chat. And Zoom chat is right here. I think there should be a orange icon that is blinking right now. Just click on that one, and then you're going to see the chat. Evet. Şimdi for the first one we said 2 saattir. Ne zaman geliyorsun? Seni 2 saattir bekliyorum. We could also say seni 2 saatten beri bekliyorum. Because as I said, dan beri, ten beri, dan beri, den beri, tan beri, ten beri can be used for all of these. Everything is going to be correct. Like uzun zamandan beri onu görmek istiyorum. Sabahtan beri evdeyiz. 8 aydan beri ailemden uzaktayım. Whoops. Let me... Ondan sonra devam ediyorum. For number 5, there were some options, but there were some mistakes. Saat 7'den beri trafikteyiz. Basically, I can use this dan beri, den beri, tan beri, ten beri for all of these. But let's use this dır, dir, durdur for the period of times so that it can make some sense. Şimdi, I'm going to get rid of all of these. I have two options. And I love this first sentence because it always reminds me of the phrase that we have. Ağaç oldum. Have you ever heard of this one? Ağaç oldum. When you wait for someone so long, you can basically say this, ağaç oldum, which literally means I became a tree. Like I waited for you so long that I become a tree. So it basically talks about a period of time. How many hours? For 2 hours. So that's why I say 2 saattir. Uzun zaman is basically long time. It is a period of time, so you can actually use uzun zamandır. And you can also say uzun zamandan beri. Both of them works. Sabah. Sabah is a period of time, or is it a starting point of an action? I am in the house since the morning, or you would say for the morning. You wouldn't say for the morning. So it's a starting point. So I only have one option for this one, and that is sabahtan beri. I'm in the house. We are in the house since the morning. 8 ay is a period of time. It's an 8th month. So I can basically use this dır dir durdur. 8 aydır ailemden uzaktayım. In number 5, there were lots of mistakes, which is totally fine, but you should know the difference of these two. 2 saat, saat 7. Şimdi I'm going to show you a So basically I have these two options that I have. Let me just mark them. I have 3 saat and I have saat 3. They basically mean different things. 3 saat, in this one 3 basically works like an adjective. It means 3 hours. And in this case, saat doesn't mean a clock, it means hours, 3 hours. So is it a period of time or is it a starting point? Come on, answers.
Period of time.
Starting point.
It's a period of time.
No.
Is it a starting point? For 3 hours. I'm not saying 3 o'clock. 3 hours is a period, it's a long time. But if I say we started learning Turkish at 3 o'clock, then it's a starting point. So that's why there were some mistakes in number 5. In the question number 5.
Further sini hocam.
Evet İza.
Which saat can it also mean like I started learning like 3 hours ago? So it's like starting point. My starting point is 3 hours ago.
You can use dan beri for this one as well. You can say 3 saatten beri Türkçe öğreniyorum. Çalışıyorum, let's say. Or you can say 3 saattir Türkçe çalışıyorum. They are exactly the same. I have been studying Turkish for 3 hours. I have been studying Turkish for 3 hours again. I mean, we cannot use this sentence in since, I believe. Hayra, is that true? Like, we cannot use this sentence in since 3 hours. Does it work?
No.
No.
You're correct.
But in this one, you can say saat 3'ten beri Türkçe çalışıyorum. Because 3 o'clock is your starting point, which basically means I have been studying Turkish since 3 o'clock. It's a starting point, so that's why I can use since. But I cannot say I have been studying Turkish for 3 o'clock. That doesn't even make sense. That's the idea. I can use damberi for this one, iza, but for this one I cannot use dur, because it's a starting point of time, starting point of an action. Tamam mı?
Tamam.
Just like that. I mean, I already give you the answer over here. That's the idea. 3 saat, saat 3. I'm going to talk about it later on. Let me just go back to the questions. So for number 5, we said yolda kaza var. Saat 7'den beri trafikteyiz. We said 8'lerde for this one. We said sabahtan beri. We say uzun zamandır. It's also possible to say dan beri. And this one we said 2 saattir. That's why in number 1 you use dur, because it's 2 hours. But this one is from 7 o'clock. Otobüsteyim ve yanımdaki kadın çok geveze. What is geveze?
Talkative.
Konuşkan.
Yeah, konuşkan. Aynen öyle. But it's a little bit worse in the meaning. I mean, so we have konuşkan, which is talkative. And we have geveze as a talkative. But geveze is a little bit in a bad meaning, you know. It's, I don't know how is it called in English, like chatty? You just say chatty? If someone is annoying, you know, with their talking. That's geveze. So she's speaking, she's talking probably to him or her since Istanbul. So Istanbul is the starting point because we are in the bus and it started from Istanbul, probably going to Izmir or somewhere, but she has been talking since Istanbul. That's why I'm going to say İstanbul'dan beri. I cannot say İstanbul'dur. Wouldn't make any sense. Anneannem, I have also seen some mistakes with this one. Anneannem, geçen salı. Geçen salı is a last Tuesday, which is a starting point of an action. It's not a period of time. So that's why it's going to be geçen salıdan beri. For this one, you have 2 options. You can either say kaç senedir, or you can say kaç seneden beri. It's fine. Both of them works. Geçen hafta, again, is a starting point of something. So it's going to be geçen haftadan beri. And also, I have an exact date, so it's a starting point of an action. So it's also going to be 23 Ekim'den beri. That's the idea. Tamam mı? You can take a screenshot of this page if you want. Okay, moving on to my slide. I have one more slide to talk about. But according to this question, the answers that I have seen on chat, most of you got the idea, except for this one, these 2 differences, like 3 saat and saat 3. But I hope it's a little bit more clear now. Yeah, basically for damberi and durdur, we have 2 options of asking question kaç saattir and saat kaçtan beri. So if we are talking about right now, the Turkish workshop that we have started at 8, we can say saat 8'den beri Türkçe öğreniyoruz. Because 8 o'clock is the starting point of our lesson. And the duration that we have since 8 o'clock is how many hours? Almost 1 hour. Let's say we can also say 40 minutes. So we can say for 40 minutes, we have been learning Turkish. And as it's a period of time, it's going to be 40 dakika.
Bir.
Dan beri.
Let's say
Yeah.
40 dakikadır Türkçe öğreniyoruz. Najma, it's also possible to say dan beri. Dan beri works always. But let's use this dır instead of dan beri. Türkçe öğreniyoruz. Tamam mı? Veya 1 saattir Türkçe öğreniyoruz. That's the idea about dan beri and dır. Since and for. But as I said, for an easier, thing, you can always use this one. You're done. No mistake. Easy peasy. Yeah, basically, I'm done with the workshop.